everybody doing? Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I was able to be home today for it, or it's after midnight. It's 2:50 in the morning. I'm on my way back from Tulsa. I cooked a 25-pound turkey, and we had our Thanksgiving dinner at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And then everybody left around 4. I decided to fire the truck up and keep myself on schedule, so I fired the truck up, warmed it up, and headed for Tulsa. I'm on my way back from there now. I got about another hour and a half of driving, about 110 miles to go to my parking spot. I don't have enough hours to make it all the way home, so I do what I can. It's been a day. I can't wait to get there. Kind of getting that restless leg thing going on. I got about 40 minutes of video today of my dad telling some of his Vietnam stories. So it isn't all of his stories. There's more to come. But I think I'll in the titles of any of his Vietnam stuff, this will be part 1, and then there's going to be a part 2, and etc. I don't know how many there will ever be. So we'll get a little bit of his storytelling going on. You guys can meet my dad. Sometime in the future here, we'll have you meet my mom too. She'll be on telling stories. At the end of Dad's video of his storytelling, I'm going to put a few pictures up, some of his Vietnam photos that we got. So, anyways, I'll edit this video up probably in the morning after I've had some sleep, and try to get it posted up to YouTube sometime tomorrow. So anyways, enjoy, and thanks for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and we will catch you in the next video. Thank you.
We had a good company commander, Jimmy Barnes. He was from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Boy, I used to get so tickled at him. I mean, he really worked on them lieutenants, basically the second lieutenant. Them lieutenants, I never did like any of them.
Where was you at when you got your notice that you had been drafted? Was you still working out on the cow ranch in Colorado with Uncle Francis?
No, I was working on the Robbins Ranch.
He was working on the Robbins Ranch here in Kansas, down at Medicine Lodge, Sun City?
No, I wasn't. No, I was at Wilmore.
Wilmore.
I bought a brand new I didn't buy it yet. I paid him $1,000 down payment on a brand new pickup there at Coldwater.
Yeah.
And But I told him I didn't want to drive it out there until I got insurance on it. So it was still down there. Well, by the time I found somebody that would give me insurance, I got my notice, my draft papers.
Hmm.
And I took it back down there, and I told that old boy that them fleet side pickups had just come out. And that's what this one was. And I took my draft notice down there and told that guy that, and I said, you still got that check I wrote you? Yeah, he said, I still got it. I said, well, can I get it back? Because I said, I got my draft notice in the mail yesterday. Huh. He went like that, and I thought, oh, he ain't gonna want to do it. And, oh yeah, he said, I'll do it. He said, I had 3 guys in here yesterday wanting to buy that pickup. I said, really? Well, I said, you can sell it to one of them then, because I'm not gonna need it. And I'd bought an old Plymouth car that he'd traded for. Somebody in Kansas City come down there and traded with him, and that Plymouth car was just like brand new.
Hmm.
So I left it at home, and I didn't pay nothing for it hardly, but I had some way of getting around. And when I come back out of the military, it was gone.
Hmm.
Dad, nobody ever would tell me what happened to it. I think Larry either wrecked it or Dad sold it to somebody.
Yeah.
But it was kind of an army green colored vehicle. Well, that thing that's got those medals on it, that belt buckle in there,
Right.
you know what that is? That's a Viet Cong belt buckle.
Oh yeah.
We was out going, and I was at the tail of that column that day, and they walked by a big tree, and that damn Viet Cong was behind that tree. And we had 6 bayonets on our AR-15, and he came out from behind that tree. He didn't see me. He was gonna shoot them people. Boy, I hit him with that. When I hit him with that bayonet on the end of my gun, I picked him up as high as that ceiling right there. When he hit the ground, he was dead.
Yeah.
And that's how I took that off from him. But the belt, I left it there because it was all soaked in blood. So I brought that buckle home.
Hmm.
That's what that is. That come off of a Viet Cong soldier.
Hmm. Didn't you tell me one time that they had told you guys that you could capture any of the enemy's weapons, guns and stuff, and that they would let you bring that stuff home as souvenirs?
Yep.
And you had gotten some
I
stuff.
had a Chinese assault rifle, and it was brand new. Hell, it was still in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
I took it off from the dead chink,
Yeah.
and they found out about it back at base camp. Well, the first one that come down there wanted it was a captain. I held him off. He left and wasn't it, but I think it was the same day, the major come down there. I held him off too.
Really?
Yeah. I told him, I got to go out there and get your, because I said, we were promised that we could keep capping weaponry. And the next day, or I don't know if it was the next day or a couple of days later, but there was a lieutenant colonel come down there.
Mm-hmm.
I held him off too. Well, yeah. Next time, here come a full bird colonel, and he had MP with him.
Oh, yeah?
And I give him a bunch of static, and that full bird colonel, he said, you know who I am? I said, yeah, you're a full bird colonel. He said, you know what I can do to you? Well, I said, do you know what I can do to you? And that MP, as he told that MP, he said, you get that weapon right now. And that MP was pretty big. Well, I was standing there with my AR-15 with a loaded magazine in it. I could have killed both of them back there.
Yeah.
But they'd have put me in the... So I stepped aside and I told him, no, I turned around and I told him, I said, well, I'll tell you what, Colonel, when you take that son of a gun home, you tell them how you got it. Don't tell them that you captured it. You tell them that you stole it from somebody that did capture it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. He got mad again. Finally, they left. And I'll tell you what. I got to where I didn't like officers at all over there, especially lieutenants. Them lieutenants were crazy.
Ouch.
Was that the only gun that you had found or decided to bring back?
Yeah. Well, I wanted those AR-15, but they weren't captured. They were boys that got killed, and they were laying out there, and I picked them up.
Mm-hmm.
Those AR-15s.
Yeah.
And they didn't want those. They wanted that Chinese assault rifle.
Yeah.
And when I got ready to come home, I talked to some guy. He said, don't put them in your duffel bag. Because he said, they'll check all that stuff. Boy, he said, and I thought, boy, I don't want to get caught, and then they throw me in the damn brig or something. Because I wanted to get out of that country. So I left them there. Nobody ever checked my duffel bag. I could have had them suckers.
Yeah.
And they would have, them was them short ones, about like that.
Right.
We had them in that bamboo thicket. You didn't want a long one.
Right.
You couldn't turn around with it. And, boy, I don't want, so I didn't take them. I went and turned them in at the supply.
Hmm.
But then when they didn't check my duffel bag, boy, that had made me mad.
You could have had them, huh?
Well, and I had two of those military 45 pistols too.
Mm-hmm.
One that I always carried. I never did shoot it at a chink. I always used AR-15.
Yeah.
But I shot expert rapid fire with my military 45 pistol. It had 9 shots in it, and then when they said rapid fire, they wanted me to empty that sucker in just so many seconds, and I did. And I shot expert with it, And my AR-15 too. Then I had some mercenaries approach me.
Okay.
Somehow or another, they got a hold of my record. And I said, I didn't know there was anybody keeping records on me. Oh, he said, yeah. He said that every one of soldiers, every one of them's got a record on him. Well, they was going to give me, they told me they'd give me $1 million to stay there. For, I don't remember how long. And I stood there and looked at them, and they were Americans.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I've been here too long now. I've seen too much crap, mister. And I said, I have escaped being killed by that much several times. I'm getting the hell out of here. And every one of those boys that I knew of, that they promised them more money and up them in rank. I found out later through Sergeant Byrd, they all got killed.
So, what company? What was you in Vietnam? What was your company? Everything. What was you was in? You went in '65.
Yep.
To
I went
boot.
into 65, but I went to Fort Leonard Wood for basic training.
Right.
When I come out of there, they sent me to Fort Polk, Louisiana,
Right.
and that was for advanced infantry training.
Right.
When I left there, they shipped me to Honolulu, Hawaii, to Schofield Barracks,
Okay.
and that was guerrilla warfare training there
Okay.
for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then, boom, 1st of January, 66, Johnson, he was the president. He cut orders on the 25th Infantry Division. Then the whole division went over there to Vietnam. And I was in Vietnam in January of 66. And I was there probably 3 months. And I began to think it was a joke, because I never heard one shot fired.
Oh yeah.
But the big brass knew where they were at. See the little blue deal, or the darker colored, that's Cambodia.
Right.
Well, and that's where they sent us. And that's where them suckers was at, boy. We was over there probably 3 months, and they send us down in there. They just getting us oriented into that 135-degree weather and all that monsoon rain and crap.
Mm-hmm.
But when they stuck us down there, the first battle that we had an 1,800 body count of them.
Huh.
I mean, we fought for days down in there. And boy, I tell you what, when we did, and it was like that pretty near until I got out of there. We had so many bodies down there at that place, and I wondered, what were we going to do with all these suckers? They kept piling them up in big piles. In one big pile, them big Chinook helicopters, they flew in 2 D9 cats.
Mm-hmm.
They dug a big hole out there and just shoved them off in it with them bulldozers, or the ones that the tracks run over, made hamburger out of them.
Yeah.
But they just scraped the ground clean at the end of that hole and then covered it up, and come back in there with them big Chinook helicopters and picked those D9 cats up, flew them out of there. But man, I'll tell you what, I didn't think that fighting was ever going to quit down there.
Want your light back on? Yeah.
But I never did have to go down to Saigon and fight. Mine was all up in the Central Highlands.
Right.
But we got up close to the demilitarized zone, but we never did go across it. But when you went across there into North Vietnam, we were kind of restricted from letting us go up in there. But hell, that war shouldn't have lasted that long at all. If they'd have let us do what we were good at, we could have walked through there and kicked the hell out of them in just maybe a couple of months.
Yeah. You know, you and most of your guys made it out of there. You didn't lose any guys except one guy, right?
No, we lost more than that.
In your squad, I mean.
Oh, in my squad, yeah. I only lost that one, and he's the one I tried to protect the most.
Yeah.
He was a missionary son. He come out of Pennsylvania or somewhere back in there.
Right.
And Dennis Abbott was his name.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think he had what it took to do what we had to do. I mean, he was kind of a mama's boy, a sissy-looking kid, and we always had to leave one man per squad back to protect our part of the division perimeter.
Right.
Company A. And I thought, shit, ain't nobody gonna do that. We had a 50 caliber about every 25 yards,
Mm-hmm.
and M60 machine gun, Claymore mines, automatic weapons in between those. Anybody that does that is gonna get killed.
Right.
Well, they did. They got killed, but about 12 of them snuck underneath that sucker on that concertina wire.
Yeah.
And Abbott and this kid was in a bunker on top of it. And when they hit, he jumped off there. He left his steel pot, his weapon, his webbing that had his hand grenades and stuff on it. He left them set up on top of that. He jumped down in there and sat down in the corner of that bunker and put his head down between his knees and froze up and just sat there. He got so scared. And I asked that other old kid that was in there, I said, why didn't you drag him out of there? He said, I tried to. He said, but I had to leave or they're going to kill me too. And that's what they done. They pulled the pin on one of them big concussion grenades that was on his webbing, throwed it in there and blew the top of his head off. And I can still see that too. And that doctor, when I got down there, I told him I wanted to see him. He said, you don't want to see him. Don't look at him. I said, yeah, he's in my squad. I want to see him. He said, you don't want to see him. He said, it'll ring your bell. Well, I can still see it today. But looking at him really put the fight in me though.
Oh yeah.
Well, when I come back out of Vietnam, I was killing mad. I mean, that's why I got out on that Robbins ranch. I stayed out there.
Mm-hmm.
I knew damn well if I went downtown Coldwater down there, somebody messed with me, I'd fix him.
What do you think? You probably did things a little differently in your squad than a lot of squad leaders did and stuff. What saved you guys the most? Didn't you believe in digging foxholes?
Oh yeah, we dig foxholes. Oh, yeah.
How many times a day do you think you had to dig one?
Well,
You,
when
you
we dug them, we usually stayed there for a week anyway.
oh, really?
And then we'd go out from there. Then I'd take my squad. The company would stay in that area, but I'd get the order to take my 10-man squad to go out certain place, just like that. They come up with 5 special forces sergeants come up missing.
Yeah.
I had to go look for them. We found them because they was in a place where that I patrolled quite a bit, and that they. Oh, I don't know. We dug several, and then when we could, see, I wasn't always a 10-man squad leader. When we first went over there, with them 106 recoilless on the Jeep.
Right.
We had to dig them suckers in too. The whole damn Jeep.
Yeah.
But then when that monsoon season hit, them things was worthless to us. Shit, you could go, you stuck all the time.
Hmm.
So they made me into a 10-man squad, and I took about all of my orders come straight from Captain Barnes.
Hmm.
I mean, I got some from Bird, my platoon sergeant, but those lieutenants and them platoon leaders, I hated them suckers. They didn't know nothing.
So you was in the 25th Infantry Division.
Yep.
What company?
Company A.
Company A.
2nd Battalion, the 35th Infantry Regiment, which they call the Fighting Cacti.
Okay.
No, I got that. I got to where they was sending me. Captain Barnes come up with most of my orders. It wasn't. I didn't take no orders off of no platoon leaders, no lieutenants. I took some off of Bird. He was my platoon sergeant. He was an E-6 platoon sergeant, and but my orders come from Jimmy Barnes. And I got 2 of what? I wasn't always the regular squad leader. The regular squad leader only had about 6 men. And Jackson was his name. He was a colored guy. We was out there on OP at the observation post.
Mm-hmm.
Those boys come to me and said, "You hear what Jackson wants us to do?" I said, "No, I don't guess so." What? He said he wants us to put a trip flare up on that main trail. And I said, "What?" We're an observation post. We're not out here to fight the enemy. What the hell's 6 of us going to do with the company of Viet Cong soldiers? Well, he said, that's what he said. So I went and jumped him. He said, "Yes, you are." And I said, "No, we're not. By God." He said, "I'll have you court-martialed." Then I said, "You get me court-martialed. By God, then you won't be getting me killed I said, you're going to get somebody killed doing what you're talking about. And I didn't do it. We got in there, and he did. He went to Captain Barnes and told him that I disobeyed a direct order.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Captain Barnes sent a runner down there to get me. I got up there and I said, you want to see me, Captain? Yes, he said, I sure do. He said, I've heard you disobeyed a direct order. And I said, that's right. I'm not going to tell you any different. That's right, I did. And he said, you know what the penalty for that is? Well, I said, is this a one-way street, or did I get to see my side of this thing? No, he said, I'll listen to you. Tell me. And I did. I said, we're a 6-man OP. I said, right? Right. I said, and what are we supposed to do? You're supposed to observe. I said, that's right. I said, what the hell 6 of us going to do if we happen to hit a company of Viet Cong soldiers? And I said, he wanted us to put up a trip flares across that main trail, and I wouldn't do it. And I said, that was that's what I was into it with him. And I said, observation posts don't do that kind of stuff. He said, you're right. He told that runner, he said, you go get that Sergeant Bird, get him up here. Or Jackson. So he got Jackson in there, and he said that you wanted him to put up a trip flare across the main trail. And he said, is that right? He said, that's right. So he told that runner, and I told him who all was out there with me in that observation squad. He said, go get them, bring them up here one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
He took them in there one at a time and asked them what happened out there. Every one of them told him the same thing I did.
Right.
Okay. He said, you go get that damn Jackson and bring him back up here. Right now. And Barnes really worked him over. He said, what you told me isn't right, Jackson. You told those boys to put up a trip flare across that trail out there. And he said, that's not what an observation post is supposed to do. They're not supposed to engage the enemy. So I said, I'm relieving you of your duty. You go get your duffel bag, get up here, because I'm sending you back to the main headquarters. And he put him in laundry. But that was after that he come up with, and Barnes was the one that come up with that 10-man search and destroy squad and put me in charge of it.
Oh, yeah?
I think Bird might have had a little bit to do, my platoon sergeant might have had something to do with it too. But
So you kind of went from being, well, with those Jeeps and stuff, what was that considered? Heavy weapons?
we just,
You was going to... Bless you.
now heavy weapons was the 155, 175. This was the 106 recordless.
Right. But you went from being in that, which would have probably kept you behind enemy lines a little ways,
Yeah.
to being in charge of a search and destroy squad, what puts you right in the middle of the crap.
Oh, yeah. Seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you what, we went through some tough shit. Man, I'm telling you what. I got into it with that one lieutenant colonel. He would come out there and the company was out there, the whole company was out there. And that damn lieutenant, Colonel Fear was his name. He was a great big sucker. He probably took 6'5", and running, flying around out there, and he had his pilots flying him around out there over the top where we was having this firefight. They shot him down with a handheld missile. Well, they hit his prop on top, and he come down. It brought him down, but it didn't explode or nothing. And well, I got the order to take my squad in there, that 10-man squad, go in and secure that wreckage. Well, we did. We got in there, and this big sucker comes out of there doing this. And I said, Colonel, quit doing that. He said, what? I said, quit doing that. I said, where do you think you are? I said, how far away do you think them Viet Cong are that shot you down? I said, they'd love to get their hands on you, mister. I said, they'd make you talk or they'd cut your throat.
Yeah.
So I said, we got to get you out of here. They can't be too far away from here. And I told Edwin Hill, go, you take the lead, double time it. I got behind that big sucker with my AR, poking him in the butt with my AR-15. Well, it was about 135 degrees that day out there.
Yeah.
Well, that son of a gun had been sitting in an air-conditioned office, and his damn fatigues looked like he just jumped out of a laundromat.
Yeah.
And, boy, I mean, I kept poking him. Come on, Colonel, we got to go. They can't be too far behind us. And when we got in there, boy, I mean, that sucker's tongue was hanging out. He was so hot. And, boy, he went to doing this yet again. And I said, Colonel, quit doing that. I said, now, I told you a while ago not to do that. Don't do it. And well, he said, I'll give you commendation medals for this. And I said, yeah? Yeah. I said, well, there's one thing I need to tell you. I didn't do this alone. There were 10 of us. So if you put me in, you put all 10 of us in. None of us got nothing.
Yeah.
That's the way them damned offer. And about all them people that got that Medal of Honor and all that shit was officers, and they put one another in.
Yeah.
That's why they got it.
I remember you telling me one time that I don't know if you guys was in a firefight or if you was just in the jungle in the night, but the big old Bengal tiger come walking through.
Yeah, and I didn't want to shoot him either, and I didn't. But by God, I drove a bead on him.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to shoot him because I didn't want the VC to hear that shot.
Right.
That's on basis from here to that wall right there from me. Are you doing that?
Yeah.
And I just thought, and I had that put right on his head. And that son of I had it on fully automatic, my AR-15. And I just thought, buddy, you make a move towards me and I'm going to unload on you. What you doing? And he finally turned around and left. And I just thought, Jesus. Well, them big little tigers was over there.
Oh yeah.
We down there, there's somebody down there, well, they're building a bridge. And they sent us down there to kind of protect, guard where they was working on that bridge. By God, all of a sudden, boom. And I thought, whoa. I didn't know what that old kid, he shot one of them big bingo tigers with a 45 pistol.
Oh yeah.
That's how close he was to him, and he just, boom, he killed him.
You told me you used to use that C4 to get fish for them village kids.
You C4 for who, what?
To get fish, you detonated in them
yeah,
rivers
I
and
did.
ponds.
Well, we come down through there on the Iron River, and there was some of those little mountain yard kids sitting out there, had a pole, string on it.
Mm-hmm.
They were fishing. And I walked up there and went to talking to him. Hell, he didn't understand anything I was saying. And I reached down and grabbed his pole and pulled him up out of there. I said, well, you don't even have a hook on that damn thing. And I told Edwin, I said, can you go find me a long rock, kind of a long, slim rock, that I can tie a stick of C4 compound on it? And I twisted those two wires together at the back, and then I twisted them two together, put that blasting cap in that C4, and then I found a real deep, looked like a deep hole. I sewed that sucker out there with it, let it go to the bottom, and boy, I hit that plastic cap with that shit. I mean, I blowed water 80 foot in the air. And you can believe the fish that come floating to the top.
Oh yeah.
Most of them was that long, some of them a little short, but there was one great big son of a gun. I think it was 4 foot long. And I don't know what kind of a fish that was. But them little mountain yard village people, choo, 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 they jumped in that water like frogs. They got every one of them fish, and two of them bigger ones got that big one and run their arms up in his gills.
Yeah.
They got him up on the bank, and then they took off with him. All I could see was that big fish's tail going.
Right.
And we had an interpreter there, and I said, where are they going to with that son of a gun? He said, they're taking that sucker back to their village. He said, man, he said, that's a lot of meat for them people.
Right.
And I said, well, how do they keep them? I said, Dan, we can't just kill that thing and out here in a 135 degree weather. Oh, he said, they got ways of doing it. I think they dried them somehow or another.
Right.
I had an interpreter with me a lot of times, some of them nations. Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
He could speak English and Vietnamese.